Hi, and welcome to the Needle Tech Series. Today we will talk about aligns. An align is basically a pixel grid the kid walks in. To understand what this means, we need to know three things. A block is 32 pixels wide, the kid is 11 pixels wide, and the kid's walking speed is 3 pixels per frame, or step. This is a 16 pixel gap, so there are 5 pixels between the kid and the wall. Since the kid's walking speed is 3 pixels per frame, taking 2 steps towards the wall would put us 1 pixel inside the wall. Now obviously that can't happen, since the kid would get stuck, so the second step moves the kid 2 pixels only. This changes our align. Since we moved less than 3 pixels, we're now on a different pixel grid. There are only 3 possible aligns, since a gap between the kid and any given wall can be 1, 2, or 3 pixels wide. To visualize the pixel grid, the gray lines in the background color every third pixel horizontally, so if we are aligned with one of the gray lines, we are aligned with all of them. If we change our align by touching a wall which makes the kid move 1 or 2 pixels, we are now aligned differently with the gray lines. Touching the walls of full blocks going into the same direction gives a different align due to how the movement speed and block size interact with each other. When going into the same direction, touching a wall 3 blocks away will result in the same align. However, the opposite walls of a single block yield different aligns. Now we know what aligns are and how they work, but we don't know how to count aligns or use them. We will start with the basics with this 1 block wide gap, or a 32 pixel wide gap. As I mentioned earlier, the kid is 11 pixels wide, so the gap between the kid and the wall is 21 pixels wide. That gap is divisible by 3 pixels, which is the kid's walking speed, meaning that our align doesn't change if we keep touching these 2 walls back and forth. We can use this knowledge to count aligns. This is a corner jump. And for this jump, we want to be as close as possible to the bottom spike, because we can't get through the corner if there are 2 pixels between the kid and the spike. If there was a block on the bottom spike, we could touch that wall to get the good align. We can imagine there is a block on the kid, and imagine we touch the inside walls of that block, just like in the 1 block gap we saw previously. But we can't find a wall here, so what do we do now? Well, we know that there are 3 possible aligns, and if this block gives us the good align, a block 3 blocks away will do the same. All we have to do is count over 3 blocks. 1, 2, 3. The inside walls of this block will give us the align we want, and there is a wall available here, so we simply grab it, and now we have the good align, and we can do the jump. Aligns make certain jumps, such as a corner jump, easier, and some jumps are only possible with certain aligns. I mentioned earlier that you can't get through a corner jump if there are 2 pixels between the kid and the spike. You actually can do it, but you need to spend both of your jumps, and it's awkward to do. If you must do the corner with a bad align and conserve your double jump, you could do this kind of stutter jump as a last resort. Now you know how to count aligns, but sometimes Needle is built with smaller pixel grids than the standard 32 pixel grid. The common pixel grids are 32, 16, and 8. Let's count aligns on a 16 pixel grid. The background grid shows a 32 pixel grid, but the blocks are on a 16 pixel grid instead. Now to find the good align, we start the same way, imagining the inside block next to the spike, but now instead of counting over 3 blocks, we count over 3 16 pixel increments, or half blocks. Then we imagine the inside block next to the side of the 16 pixel increment. There are no walls here, so we need to keep counting. 1, 2, 3. There is a wall available up here, so we grab it, and we can do the corner jump. Counting aligns on an 8 pixel grid works the same way. You would just count 8 pixel increments rather than 16 pixel increments. There are 2 common use cases I still want to showcase. First is walk-off aligns. This is a T-bone jump, and to get through this, you can do this the awkward way by spending both of your jumps like this, or you can make your life easy by using a walk-off align. The walk-off align positions the kid so that he is as much over the edge of the block as possible while remaining on the block. It's called the walk-off align because it enables the kid to walk off the block without immediately dying to the spike. Where can we find this align? It's on the other side of the very same block. If you can't get the align here, well, you know how to count aligns on any pixel grid now. Now the final use case, a ledge jump. The idea is to jump on the ledge, so you can jump all the way up to the top. But we want to use an align that puts us as far away from the spike as possible, since there is more vertical space under the spike closer to the edge of the block, making it easier to land on the ledge. The worst align lets the kid stand only in one position, while the other two aligns let the kid stand in two different positions. You may have guessed it already, but we can use our walk-off align knowledge here. We need to grab the wall on the other side of the ledge, but we can't grab it from here, so we start counting over 3 blocks at a time and grab the first available wall. As a bonus, we will talk about apple aligns. Here we must drop down through the gap between the 2 apples. The good align here is the inside walls of the block encompassing the left apple. We can visualize this by imagining a block on top of the left apple, and using the same method as before, we count over 3 blocks and grab the first available wall. This align allows the kid to clear the gap in every situation. If you can't get the good align, things get a little more complicated, because the apples have 2 different animation frames, and only one of them will let you pass with the OK align, which is located 1 block to the left of the good align. With this align, the kid can clear the gap during the animation frame where the apple stems point more upwards. The bad align, which is located on the right apple, does not let you pass, regardless of the apple animation. Here's a couple more methods for counting aligns. The walls of a 2-block wide formation give the same align. The walls of a mini-block give the same align. This can be used for overlapping 16-pixel structures as well. The walls of an 8-pixel gap give the same align. For some final notes, most jumps require you to get as close to a spike as possible, like with the corner jump from earlier. But sometimes you may need to leave pixel-perfect gaps between the kid and the spike. You can either practice things in JTool or refer to align cheat sheets, like this one. Align sheets may have inaccuracies, so I recommend always testing things in JTool to verify. That was aligns in a nutshell. Thank you for watching.